It's that time of the year. It's the end of the year, which means Christmas, Hanukkah, Kwanzaa, and a number of different holidays. So for today's video, I wanted to make something a bit more festive, about traditions and culture. And so today's video is going to be about what different colors mean in the Chinese language. Also, this is my last video before the new year, so see you in 2015. Have you ever wondered why certain colors are used in everyday language? For example, in English, you would say, "I'm feeling blue," to describe you're sad. Green, you can usually use to describe if you're envious of someone. But at the same time, people say greenhorn to describe someone who is new or inexperienced in a particular area. As you can see, the colors are used kind of arbitrarily. There's not specifically a rhyme or reason for why certain colors mean certain things in a language. Well, these same random applications of language also exist in the Chinese language. In this video, I want to talk about some common meanings of colors in Chinese language. Note, I'm not talking about the emotional connotations of these colors in Chinese culture, nor am I talking about colors in relation to specific ethnicities or skin color, so please do not misunderstand. Before we start, what do you think each of these colors mean in the Chinese language? White, black, yellow, red, and green. Let's start with white. White has the most meanings in the Chinese language. First of its meanings is clear, as in hidden knowledge is now revealed, and now it is clear for people to see. There's a popular saying in Chinese for when you want to confess your love to someone, and you may have seen it on a Chinese drama, especially high school or young love. The word is called 告白. 告白. It can be translated to revealing your feelings. Another example of white as clear is the word 坦白. 坦白 is a little bit different than 告白. 坦白 is more often used in a negative sense. It's often used when you're accusing someone of a crime or something negative. If someone senses you've been doing something bad, they may say to you, 坦白地告诉我事实, or 坦白告诉我真相, meaning please tell me the truth, the clear story. Another meaning for white is innocent. In America, there's the phrase innocent until proven guilty. The Chinese legal system is a bit more stringent, but if the Chinese public declares you innocent, they'll most likely use bai to describe your innocence. In Chinese, the word for innocent is 无辜, but it's often used together with the word 清白, so it'll sound like 清白无辜. However, 清白 can be used to describe a person on its own. 那个人是清白的. That person is innocent. Another usage of white, which is the most common usage of white in my opinion, and is also my favorite, means in vain or for nothing. So in English, you would say something like, "Oh, I did all that for nothing." Bai in Chinese has the same meaning. It takes on the form of an adverb. It goes in front of a verb. Let's say you decided to go to the bookstore, you want to buy a specific book, and you think the bookstore has it. So you go all the way to the bookstore, you realize they don't have the book, you come home and you're very upset and you tell your wife, your family, whatever, you say, 我白跑了一趟. 我白跑了一趟. So you basically said, I made a fruitless trip, what a waste of my time and energy. 白. Another example can be, you worked really hard on a project at work, and then the boss comes in last minute and he says, oh, the project is scrapped. You don't need to do it anymore. And you're already done the project. You would be very angrily saying to your colleagues, 这家伙，我干的活不都白干了吗? That devil. All the work I did was for nothing. Last meaning of white is the word free. Who doesn't like free? I don't know a single person who doesn't like free, so I'm sure every Chinese person would like this usage of the word bai. Like the previous usage of bai, this usage of bai is also used as an adverb, and it goes exclusively in front of a verb. Let's say you go to a Western restaurant and the waiter comes over and says that all of the desserts are free. The waiter would say, 今天甜点都是免费的。今天甜点都是免费的。And you would say, 真的吗？白送的吗？真的吗？白送的吗？ However, this usage of 白 is often used in the negative. A common sentence that Chinese people would say using 白 would be 白给我也不要 or 白给我都不要 meaning even if you give it to me for free, I don't want it. So this highlights Chinese kind of high standards when it comes to products and services. Often we hear situations in which a Chinese product was of a poor quality and is recalled. So Chinese consumers have become a bit snobby in this case, shall we say, in their evaluation of these goods and services, which may be faulty. A while back, I gave you guys a quiz and asked you what your favorite method of learning a new language is, and the vast majority of you said movies, TV shows, and other audio-visual material. But the problem with this is you either watch it using English subtitles or your native language subtitles, or the subtitles in the target language. If you watch it in English subtitles, you understand the whole thing, but you're not really learning much of the language. That's where LingoPie comes in. LingoPie knows the struggles of language learners who want to learn a language in an interactive, entertaining way. So they created a platform where you not only get dual language subtitles for movies and TV shows that you already enjoy, there are also so many other features that help you improve your language skills. For example, if you have a sentence on the screen and you don't really understand how the sentence structure is working in the target language, you can click on their grammar coach and they'll give you a lengthy explanation of how that sentence is structured. So if you're learning, let's say, a romantic language, it'll tell you about the genders of the different verbs or nouns in the sentence. And if you're learning Korean, for example, which I use it for Korean, it'll tell you how the different verb endings affect, the mood of the speaker, like if they're angry, if they're asking a question, if they're saying something that the person already knows. It's super, super helpful. Moreover, a great thing about LingoPie is that if you see a word in the subtitles that you don't know, you just click on it and it'll be saved into your to review file. And at the end of the episode or the movie, out of all the saved words that you clicked on, it'll give you a quiz and ask you what those words mean. But they don't just give you the word and then ask you what it means. They give you the word along with the actual scene of when this word was used. So it's a super intuitive and fun way to learn new vocab. Right now, LingoPie is running a huge discount. You can get a lifetime membership for under $200. All of the information is in my bio, so please click there. Now back to the main video. And now the yin to my yang, the color I buy all my yoga pants in, the elegant black. I have to say once again that these descriptions of black are strictly related to the linguistics usages of black in the Chinese language. I am not talking about skin color. Please do not misunderstand what I'm about to say. There is a big elephant in the room, so I'm just going to go ahead and say it right now. In English, it's common to use the word dark to describe negative things. Well, in Chinese, we don't really have a word for dark, we just say black. Hey. So for example, instead of saying it's getting dark outside, meaning the sun is setting, we would say 天开始黑了,天开始黑了, which literally translates to it's getting black outside, but that's not what we mean. We mean it's getting dark outside. So what that means is black or hei is used for both black and dark. You see where I'm going with this? That means black or hei is going to be used with some not so positive things. The first meaning and the most prominent meaning of black or hei in Chinese is illegal, secret, or shady. So you see why I had to give all these prefaces? I'm not trying to get canceled on YouTube after only 3 months. Earlier we mentioned bai has the meaning of pure, innocent, clear. Well, unfortunately, hei is the opposite. Hei normally refers to something that is not by the book or not good. It's used about people, behaviors, and even organizations that are not working in a forthright manner. In English, you would say mafia for an Italian crime syndicate, or you would use triad for a Chinese crime syndicate. But the actual word for Chinese gangs is 黑社会, translating to black society, or 黑帮, translating to black gangs. And again, black, not referring to people, it is describing the dark nature of these organizations. A fun piece of etymology, the word triad came from colonial Hong Kong, where there was a famous gang called the Triad. It was an organization that was against the Qing dynasty, and the triad comes from the union of heaven, earth, and humanity. Don't ask me any more about the triad because I want to live a bit longer. Let's now talk more about the usage of hey in everyday language. I'm sure you've heard of the word 打工. It means to work, but it's usually not a permanent job. It's usually casual or contract-based. Well, we add hey or black in there and we get doing illegal work. 打黑工. If you have an unlicensed vehicle, most likely using it to run an illegal taxi service, it's called 黑车. 黑车. If you're an unregistered person in China, you don't have 户口, you're called a 黑户. 黑户. Not sure if you know about 户口, but it can be a big problem for many people, especially if you have your registration of residency in one area, but then go somewhere else for a long period of time. You may become 黑户. Or in the old days when we were only allowed to have one children per family, if you had more than one child, the unregistered children would be 黑户. As a simple verb, 黑 means to trick someone or to do them dirty. So let's say someone tricked you out of a lot of money, you would say 他黑了我很多钱. 他黑了我很多钱. So black is used as a simple verb. And let's say you have a group of acquaintances and they want to sabotage a friend of yours and you want to stick up for this person. You can say 那个哥们儿是个好人，你们不要黑他。那哥们儿是个好人，你们不要黑他。That guy is a good guy. Don't do him dirty. Hey is also used as a part of more complex verbs, such as 抹黑 or 拉黑. 抹黑 refers to throwing mud on someone or some organization. It's seen as a bit serious, often describing people who dishonor a certain organization or party or disowning them. An example of this would be you're in an organization and some higher-ups think that someone is not trustworthy and they want to rat out the organization and you don't agree. So you can say something like 你要相信他的为人，他绝不会给集体抹黑的. You need to trust his character. He would never discredit the organization. 拉黑 is short for 拉到黑名单, which means to pull someone into the blacklist. Usually on your cell phone or some kind of social media software. This is often when you have a negative interaction with someone. And for example, let's say you have an ex-boyfriend who keeps bothering you with texts. You would complain to your friend and say to them, 我已经给他拉黑了. 我已经给他拉黑了. I've already blocked him. Moving on, yellow is a very important color for Chinese people throughout the centuries. It is on the national flag, and it was seen as a color of royalty for thousands of years. Starting from the Ming Dynasty, yellow was seen as the color of the sun, representing royalty and prestige. And then later on, people viewed yellow as the color of the earth, which credence to the name of the emperor Huangdi, meaning the emperor ruled the yellow earth. The characters are not the same, but Chinese have always played with homophones. During the Qing dynasty, the Manchus were the ruling ethnicity, and they viewed yellow as their color, and they even forbade average citizens from wearing the color yellow at all. But in modern day life now, yellow does not tend to have a very positive meaning in the Chinese language anymore. Nowadays, Huang is usually associated with something that is faded from glory, shriveled up, not successful, or even vulgar. There's not a specific reason why Huang went from being a very positive, noble, highly viewed as color to a color that is associated with low-level things. But some scholars believe it's related to the agricultural industry in China. A once abundant farming landscape has shriveled up and withered, thus turning yellow. And thus yellow or 黄了 as a verb means something that has not been successful, that has failed. 黄了 is often used for businesses, business transactions, or marriages that have failed. For example, 他的公司黄了，那笔买卖黄了，他的婚姻黄了。Another meaning of 黄 that your Chinese teacher probably did not tell you is that 黄, if you put it in front of books, magazines, movies, it means explicit material. There's a lot of reasons why 黄 is associated with this kind of explicit material, but I'm not going to get into it as this is a PG rated show and we are right in front of the holidays, so you can look that up on your own. Moving on to red, the color of the Chinese people. You may have expected me to put the color red at the beginning of this video, as the color red is often associated with Chinese people, as Chinese people view it as very positive. It's about prosperity and fortune and money. But this video is not about the cultural kind of ties to colors. This video is about how colors are used in the Chinese language. And the Chinese language does not have that many uses of 红 as you may have expected. However, the uses of 红 that are in the Chinese language are positive ones. The first one that you may not have heard of is 红 in related to stock market success. So 红 means dividends or bonuses for your stocks. You may be surprised to hear that red is associated with positive financial gains in Chinese, because in English, you normally say a company is in the red for if they're losing money. But 红 is used as a positive thing in the Chinese stock market. 分红 is the act of giving dividends or the act of receiving dividends. The second usage of 红 is something you're probably a lot more familiar with. It means successful or popular. I would say this is the most common usage of 红 in everyday conversation. You know, in English, you would say so-and-so singer is really hot these days. Well, it's the same concept in Chinese. Hot and red are basically used interchangeably at times. You would say 那个歌手最近很红，那个歌手最近很红, meaning that singer is really hot these days. The Chinese word for influencer or content creator is simply 网红, literally meaning hot on the web or red on the web. So it's my goal to become a 网红. Please help me, guys. So a little tip, 很红 is usually used to describe people, like 那个人很红. But if you want to describe non-people things as very popular or hot, you use 很火 instead. Normally for restaurants, you would say 那家餐厅很火，那家餐厅很火. Or if there's a really hot TV show, you would say 那部剧很火，那部剧很火. Last but not least, green. When you think of Chinese people or Chinese culture, the color green probably does not come to mind. And there's good reason for that, because the Chinese people don't really have any particular interest in the color green. In fact, there's some people who believe that green is seen as an impure color because it is a combination of two pure colors, yellow and blue. It is said that in the Tang and Song dynasties, criminals were forced to wear green headscarves on their head, and this contributed to people viewing green as a lowly color. In today's culture, the phrase 戴绿帽子 means that a man has been cheated on by his partner. This phrase 戴绿帽子 literally means you're wearing a green hat. With such a striking image, I'm sure you're dying to know the origins of this phrase. To be honest with you, I did not know where this phrase came from either, so I did a little research and you're in for a treat of a story. However, I have to warn you, although this is a commonly passed down story, there are no official records that say this is the 100% origin, so just take this story with a little grain of salt. During the Tang and Song dynasties, there was a man named Wang Yuanming. He was a famous poet and songwriter, and he was so busy that he did not have time for his wife. His wife was known to be a very beautiful woman, and because she received no attention from her husband, she ended up becoming close with her neighbor, who also ended up having fond feelings for her. One day, Wang Yuanming went off to a hunting trip, and the neighbor saw him go off, and so the neighbor went over to the wife's house and wanted to have a nice time together. But Wang Yuanming unexpectedly came home earlier than expected. He came home that same day, and so the neighbor, who was basically in the house at the time, he jumped under the bed to basically protect himself and the relationship from being found out, and he basically stayed there all night. And so after this, the wife and the neighbor started to come up with ideas for how they were going to get their way. So the wife came up with this idea. The neighbor actually was a seller of fabrics. So the wife asked to please give her a piece of green cloth, and she said she would make a green hat for her husband. She would say if her husband was going on a long business trip, she would wear the green hat on her husband's head, and that way the neighbor would be able to see when Wang Yuanming leaves with this green hat, then he can come into the wife's house and have a fun play date. I know you're so upset right now. Even I'm not a man, and I'm so upset for Wang Yuanming right now. Like, it's so unfair for him. But you're probably going to be more upset about how the wife got Wang Yuanming to actually wear the 绿帽子. She would tell him, 外边天气不好，有风沙，戴上这个帽子以后，头发就不会弄脏了，而且绿色使人更帅气. So of course, hearing this, the husband, Wang Yuanming, gladly wore the hat and off he went. Tell me about a color that is viewed negatively or positively in your culture in the comments.